And welcome to the Howard Eskin Show, live on Wednesday night at 7:30, and then up in the social media world and whatever space you call it forever. Great guest tonight, a guy that I can't believe I covered him when he was a player, but I covered him. That takes us back a little bit, and that would be Ron Jaworski. But before we get to that, and the birthday boy of about a month ago, Ron Jaworski, let's tell you about our proud and our partners. Call them sponsors, call them whatever you want, but they're great people. Piazza Property Pros. You want your pool taken care of, you want your landscape, whatever you want. Piazza Property Pros. Also, Audi of Westchester, great people, wonderful and beautiful showroom. They got cars. So you want cars? They have got cars. And people that want to save probably a couple $100 a month, on their cable bill, that would be cut the cord with Jason. I'm telling you, it's a new way to go. It's just people are getting tired of the expense of cable. And what they're doing is they're cutting the cord with Jason. But first, let me tell you about Piazza Property Pros. Your backyard. Hey, and I've talked to the people probably a couple of times a week. I talk to Piazza Property Pros, wonderful woman out there named Liz who runs the business. People are waiting who want to get a pool. Don't wait, because once you wait, everybody else is thinking the same thing. Or you want to get things done and clean up your pool and do all the things you need to do. It's Piazza Property Pros, but I'm urging you not to wait. They are experts, whether you're dreaming of a new in-ground pool or pool renovation. Don't wait. People are calling and they wait till the weather gets warm. Well, then everybody did. You want to get it done now. 25 years of experience. They specialize in turning your vision into a reality with top-notch craftsmanship, unmatched customer service, all the work done by their own skilled people. It's their own people. They don't subcontract. They don't do any of that stuff. For whatever they do, it's all them. You can trust Piazza Property Pros to deliver exceptional results on time within your budget. Call 610-566-2608. That's 610-566-2608, or check them out on the internet, piazzaoutdoor.com. Don't wait. Let Piazza Property Pros make your backyard the oasis that you wanted. And you want to drive around and feel good. You can experience luxury at Audi Westchester. They're all new facilities, state of the art. It's great people, state of the art showroom. Audi Westchester's goal is to make buying or leasing a new Audi simple, very simple as possible. Pressure-free sales environment. But here's what I'm going to tell you. No tariffs right now. That's a good thing. $5,000 off the EQ5. That's the hybrid. $5,000 off those vehicles. $3,000 off the A5. They're going to take care of you. And because they have three dealers, they have the mainline automotive group, multiple dealerships, you will have access to the largest selection of new and pre-owned Audi vehicles in the tri-state area. Stop by Audi of Westchester, located at 1421 Wilmington Pike, or visit AudiWestchester.com. That's AudiWestchester.com. And you want to save money? We all want to save money, right? Cable is it's driving us crazy. You get your bill and you say, what the hell is going on? Well, cut the cord with Jason. He offers an incredible service, and people from all over the country. Well, they can't go out all over the country. He'll save you money. He'll come out to your house, cut your cable off, set you up with less expensive internet service, with a streaming service which includes local and national channels. You'll still get all the Philly professional games. And let's just say, if you have a second home, they can hook that up. No extra charge for a second home. Try to get that done with your cable company. Jason can set you up. Only one monthly TV bill for both houses. For more information and to save you lots of money, call Jason 215-801-5858. And our guest, you want to know about football? You want to talk football? You can do it, and our guest will do it, and that would be Ron Jaworski. Ron, welcome to the Howard Eskin Show. And thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Like, I say you got a lot of knowledge. So maybe I'm going a little over the top, but I say you got a lot of knowledge.
No, you're not.
It's beautiful. Never be
Hey,
shy. Never be shy. It's just,
I hung around you long
I
enough.
know. Can you believe I covered you when you came to the Eagles? I can't believe that when I started thinking about that.
1977, Howard, 48 years ago, you started covering me when I was Eagles
I,
quarterback.
I know
1977.
it's amazing.
Wow.
I was talking to Joe Theismann last week, and it's nice to kind of look and see how the game has evolved. Some of the Eagles coaches had always talked to me, what about the guys who are playing here? And what about those coaches? It's different. And he pointed up some differences from the game then and the game now. And a quarterback sees those probably more than anybody else. What do you see as the differences in the game?
I think the controlled violence of the game now, and I say that in a positive way. I think when some of the legislation came down about how you can hit the quarterback, how you can't hit the quarterback, I thought the game was getting too soft. But now that I see what Roger Goodell was trying to do is make the game safer, I think he succeeded in that. But you're thinking now the way the game is played, and I'm looking at a quarterback perspective, it's like Joe probably did. Now the only place you can hit a quarterback is right here, right in the chest. Anywhere else you hit him, it's a penalty. Think of the days of Deacon Jones and the guys like that with Jack Youngblood taping up their elbows and patting up their elbows, and they'd come in and just whack her upside the head. That was okay. That was no penalty at all. And again, I don't want to sound like the game's getting soft because it's not. It's still a tough, physical, violent game. But in that regard, the game is safer and it's better for that
You know what he
reason.
pointed out to the wide receivers, and he said not all of them, some of them get lazy because after you get by 5 yards, you don't really, you're always going to, not always, but most of the time you're going to be open. He says, which increases the completion percentage for a quarterback. All these numbers now, the completion percentage of this guy now compared to that guy. Well, it's a different game in that regard too. Don't you believe the same thing?
Absolutely, Howard. I think that the biggest change in regards to a statistical profile on a quarterback is these bubble screens. In today's NFL, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we know by the inch where balls are completed. The technology is amazing, but quarterbacks out complete probably 25% of their passes behind the line of scrimmage. Behind that should be considered a pass. That should be considered a handoff. And so you look at the numbers are definitely skewed. And I know when Joe talked about receivers, that 5 yard area. Now I came in the league in 1973, played to 1990. So I went through a couple eras of how the game had evolved. But I think back to those early 70s when you could just mug a receiver, give him the line of scrimmage and just mug him. Linebackers could basically just use their forms to knock out running a crossing route, picks or rubs. They didn't care. They just took your head off. And it was legal. You hit a guy with the forearm running a route. It was legal. So that's why the game is more wide open. I quite honestly, I think the game is better now. I'm not going to be one of those older guys that always bitch and moan about how the game has changed. It's changed for the worse. It is not. I think the game is definitely a better game right now, a safer game right now, a more exciting game right now. It's more of a passing game. Well, the Eagles proved it was more of a running game this year to win a Super Bowl, first time in a long time. We remember that. But I think the game is all around better.
You know what? The Eagles, okay, they come off a Super Bowl. It's harder in the numbers. I don't completely understand why. When you lose a Super Bowl, only one team in like 30 or 31 years has gotten back the next year. But when you win a Super Bowl, it's different. So now the Eagles, but everybody's coming after you. I would think it would be harder because now you're more of a target. How difficult do you think it is for a team, and in this case specifically the Eagles, to just go back to the Super Bowl this year?
Well, it's going to be very difficult because when the schedule comes out in mid-May, every team on the Eagles' schedule is going to put like a circle around the Eagles or a star by the Eagles. That's the game they're going to target. That's the game they're pointing to. That is going to be the litmus test of what kind of team you are when you face the World Championship Philadelphia Eagle team. So that certainly comes into play, and it's just difficult, Howard. And who would have thunk after that Super Bowl victory, Eagles over the Chiefs, they would lose 5 starters on defense. 5 starters on defense, just gone. You got to replace 5 starters on the number one defense in the NFL. Vic Fangio did a great job last year, phenomenal job last year. He's going to have to do a better job this year going into the season to rebuild this defensive team and have them play that well. So clearly, the salary cap, it's a salary cap era. The Eagles have $50 million of dead money, literally. It fluctuates from week to week depending on who's on your roster, but they had about $50 million in dead money. So that's money you can't pay for free agents, can't pay your own players. So that sets you back as well. And the draft, which is coming up on obviously Thursday night. You win, you go to the bottom, and you pick last. So the NFL is set up for parity, and it's worked.
All right, so the draft, and who knows? Everybody. Chris Sims made a good point. He said, "Qualified opinions by unqualified people," which is really everybody just throws out all the.
He's right. He's right.
That's unbelievable. So, but I want to get into, and I don't know how much you've looked at the players coming out. The Eagles have needs. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get them in the draft because there's players that kind of float around once teams draft players. Other players now aren't going to make their teams, but they might be a fit for the Eagles. When you look at the Eagles, what do you think they will and do need in the draft, and what do they do need, obviously, to move forward or stay close to the same level?
I'm first, Howard. I'm going to make a statement. This is the first draft in 35 years that I have no responsibility to make picks, evaluate players, or anything. It's a great feeling. For all those years when I'd look at 200 quarterbacks and 200 players and 25 quarterbacks and go to every pro day and live off my suitcase for 2 months prior to the draft, I have no responsibility. I'm going to watch that draft, have a cold beer in my hand, and have a good time breaking it down personally for no reason at all, except I like to do it. It's what I love to do. But we focus on the draft far too much. Far too much. You're going to get probably out of the draft, maybe 2 to 3 really guys who are going to help your football team. But the draft the NFL is a machine. It's going to get great ratings. The NFL does a great job. Everyone's going to watch. So that part is really good. But here's how I look at it. And I was involved with the Eagles on the committee that hired Doug Peterson back in 2016 as the head coach. And I learned a lot. And I've known Jeffrey Lurie since he bought the team in 1993. I would consider him a good friend. Howie Roseman, I've known Howie since he was working with Joe Banner. I would consider Howie Roseman a good friend. When I sat in those meetings with the Eagles leadership group, which included Jeffrey and Howie Roseman and Tom Donahoe and Don Smolinski, and just a repertoire of people, I was part of these meetings and the interviews with who was going to be the future head coach, ended up being Doug Peterson, but we interviewed 7 or 8 coaches. But I realized how dumb I was, quite honestly, in evaluating the draft. When I saw the work that was done, not only in hiring a coach, but that's done for the draft, you realize we don't even scratch the surface of what these guys do. We really don't. We think we know, but we really don't know until you have to day in and day out. When you interviewed a coach, you had a dossier from like kindergarten. You knew everything about that guy's life. Right. When you look at draft choice now with ESPN, we've had this discussion on when I'd go to those ESPN draft meetings covering the draft. The first thing we'd look at when we get the police reports on guys. The guys coming out of the draft. No one's looking at their 4.3 time. What's he been charged with in college? What's his history? So there's a lot that you just don't select a player. You just don't select coaches. You've got to know their entire background of what went on with them, how they lived their life, the kind of character people they are. There's just so much more than just, hey, he's run hard, or he can block well, or he tackles well. There's so much more that goes in the draft and hiring coaches as well.
You know what? Howie Roseman talked the other day when we're doing this about drafting character people. I don't think it's possible. I mean, Big Dom he's really good. I mean, he knows where I'll say this with a little sarcasm. He knows where all the bodies are buried. So he really does. So hey,
Howard, I played for the Eagles for 10 years, the Rams for 4 years, the Dolphins for 2 years, the Chiefs for 1 year. Every one of them, everyone's got a Dom. They know the FBI guys in town. They know everything that's going on. So every team has a Dom. Dom might be the best, but every team has a Dom.
Yeah, but the thing is, you got to check people. But how can all your players be good? There's really good talented players, and you hope, all right, maybe he'll change. Can you really, when you look over the years, guys feel so I think players feel so entitled coming out of college because now they're getting paid too much money anyway, but they feel so entitled.
Oh
Can
yeah,
you
we're getting
always
paid too much in
draft
college,
good
Howard.
character player? Well, yeah, right. Oh, stop. Can you always draft good character players and just kind of say, well, this guy's really talented? Well, we know I don't want to get into the Jalen Hurts specifics, but there was some questions when he came out of college, and that's why he slipped to, what was it, 9? He wouldn't have gotten to 9 if he didn't have issues, but he's a hell of a player. So, and he's turned it around. But can you always be sure when you look at players, and you've done it in the past, and say, well, this guy's a good character guy?
I truly believe it starts with that. I think character is absolutely critical to long term success.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are guys that are really great players, but the minute they can't help a team win, the minute that ends, they're gone. Where good players can sometimes, buy a couple years by being a good character teammate, a hardworking guy, set an example, groom the young
Yeah.
players. Guys that are at the end of their career can buy a couple extra years by being character guys. But I don't think in today's world of National Football League football that you can not have character as a criteria for being on your football team. It just has to be a part of the makeup of guy you draft. And we talked about Howie and Jeffrey, and I know what a high priority they place on that. And they just don't draft turds. And I learned that word from Dick Vermeil. Dick Vermeil's still one of my closest friends, and he every time we get together for a dinner or a beer or a glass of wine, he talks about all the damn turds that ruin a certain team or that team. Because if you don't have character guys, you're not. You may get lucky. Yeah, you great talented guys. They can get lucky and win a championship. But if you're not going to have sustained greatness, if you're not a good character person.
I forgot that Vermeil was one of your coaches with the Rams. He was your quarterback coach at one time, which is when you think about it, you go way back with Dick. But Dick wants good guys because he needs a reason to cry over players sometimes, and I say that with all love in my heart with Dick. But he just
I know,
loves
I
his
know, I know how
players
much you
so
love
much.
Coach Vermeil. We all do.
Yeah, I mean it's just, but it's
And he
just.
cares.
Yeah, that's the important thing. How
Well, Howard,
important
think
is it
about what.
for how important is it for a coach that really cares about himself? And not all the coaches care about their players, and they care more about themselves. Does a coach have to really kind of be, I don't even know what you would call it, a guy that he has to embrace? Sometimes you have to be loud with him and forceful, and sometimes you have to embrace him. Is that a hard quality for a coach?
It's like being a parent. I mean, it's hard being a parent. I've got 3 kids, 7 grandsons, and it wasn't always easy. In hindsight, sure it was easy. Raising what I call 3 great kids and 7 grandsons, but it really never was easy. And if you treat people the right way, you get love and affection in return, and that's all you can do. And it's the same thing with players. You've got to give them the respect they deserve. You've got to give them the love they deserve. It's a hard freaking business. And when you think of the average career, Howard, and this always amazes people. I give a lot of motivational speeches
Right.
around the country throughout the year, and when I throw this stat out, it kind of gets people's attention. The average career in the National Football League, the average career in the NFL is 3.3 years. Most guys don't get to their second contract. Most guys are out of the league by the time they're 25. So it goes to show you live your life to be an NFL player, but it's a short-lived opportunity that you got to take advantage of while you can. So, that's why the character comes into play, raising your kids the right way, raising your
Mm-hmm.
players the right way to do the right thing. All those things come into play for
All
successful
right.
football
So
teams.
I want to get to Jalen Hurts, but before I get to him, I have been a fan of Nick Sirianni. When Philadelphia went crazy and they were ready to fire him and bring in Bill Belichick after 4 games and all this other nonsense, he he engages his players. They love him. They respect him. That's hard to get both, I think, with a coach. I think he's creative. And you've been around Nick a lot. Your thoughts on Nick Sirianni?
But he's a terrific coach. He's a world championship coach. He's had a great career thus far, and he's going to continue to be great. I think the fact that he's in a tremendous organization that really works in harmony very well together, he's going to have even longer term success. And I think you nailed it, Howard. The players
Yes.
respect him. And you have you in your role have had access to a lot of players all the time, and there are guys that will throw the coach under
Yeah.
the bus in a heartbeat. They'll be happy to do. Hey, off the record,
Oh,
Howard,
yeah,
man, this
right.
guy's a clown, or you get that. And I'm close to a lot of players in the team. I have ultimate respect for what they do, how they do their job, and I don't necessarily look for dirt and look for guys to rip somebody, but I've never heard from a player or a coach or anyone in that Eagle organization ripping anything about Nick Sirianni. Hey, he's not perfect. I thought he made some mistakes going in the stands and doing all that kind of stuff, kind of BS stuff. But Howard, he knew
Yes.
he made a mistake. He knew he did. He shouldn't have done it, and he learned from that. That's what life's about. We all make mistakes. Do you learn from when you make those mistakes not to make them again? Hey, I apologize. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. That's what men do. You stand up and be accountable. And he was. And look at the result, hoisting that Vince
When
Lombardi
he
trophy.
in meetings, people ripped him for the flower, that all that. He tried to make a point and he used the flower. So what?
It's absolutely the right. It's absolutely the right
Well,
point, Howard.
yeah,
By the
right.
way,
Well, the thing is, a lot of players fall asleep in those meetings. He got people to pay attention because either they wanted to laugh, he engaged them. He ran a video clip, and to this day, and I'm going to run it on one of these shows. Peyton Manning on Saturday Night Live, and I know you remember, we threw the ball and drilled the little kids, just knocked them down. He played a couple of years ago. He played in the meeting. He came out, players were telling me he ran this clip of Peyton Manning, and it was funny. And I asked Nick about it. He says, "Yeah, I just want to do something a little bit different," which is okay. But then you make your point when you get their attention. And people don't the people in Philly. There's still people that don't think Nick Sirianni's good enough, and I'm sure there's still people on that wonderful radio station here in Philadelphia that just rips them any chance they can get. But the reality is, we both know, and I think good football people know, that Nick Sirianni's a good coach. I don't think.
he's a terrific coach, and I say this positively. I think he's a better person. I've been in the company of him and Brett, his wife. We've had dinner together. His kids are, he loves his kids. He does so much. He lives in Haddonfield, New Jersey. I know, he lives just a few doors away from
Oh,
Joe
really?
Flacco, by the way. Joe had him. Yeah, and I know how much Joe loves his kids. So there's that harmony that they're neighbors, they're good people, and they're always going to be successful. Nick is always going to be successful. Joe, even going back to Cleveland, Joe's 40 years old. I'm still scratching my head. I remember breaking down Joe for the draft 16 years, 17 years ago. Time does fly. My hair was a different color back then, Howard, and so was
A little
yours.
bit, a little bit. When you think about, I mean, the entire situation with Nick Sirianni, it's just he's just right. He's a good guy. He's a good coach, and sometimes it's hard with the pressure of the job to do that. And I have a lot of respect for him. Yeah.
Howard. There's no pressure. There is no pressure. If you win, there is no pressure. It's when you
Oh,
lose when
yeah.
you get when it
Oh,
all falls apart. Yeah, winning brings out the best in
who was
everybody.
it?
You know that. You've been around Philadelphia long enough.
Who
Just
was
win,
it that
baby.
said there was I guess a player, maybe it was Chris Sims that said it. He says the fans boo the other team, but then they boo their own team, and it doesn't take long if they don't like what's going on. And then the stuff that's yelled out of the stands, hey, listen, he's going to do the best job he can, and ultimately the players got to perform. Ultimately, the players got to do the job, and it's just it's not real hard to kind of.
No question. And by the way, Howard, you look at the staff that Nick has assembled. I think it's also very important to mention. I thought the Vic Fangio recruitment and finally getting him signed last year. I know Nick wanted to get him
Right.
3 years ago before he went down to Miami. He was on Eagles
Yep.
payroll front office as a consultant. Vic is also. If you talk about great people in this business, I remember, and you remember Vic Fangio from coaching the Philadelphia Stars in the
Exactly.
early 80s. We used to work out in the offseason at Veterans Stadium. He was their defensive coach under Jim Mora. They had a ton of guys went from USFL to the NFL. They had a great coaching staff, a lot of coaches on that staff. Vic has been one of the best coaches as a coordinator in the National Football League in its history. You know, they're going to recognize someday Vic down the road with a Hall of Fame induction because, hey, he may not have been a great head coach in Denver, but as a defensive coordinator and assistant coach, one of the best in the history of the NFL. He was one of the keys to last year's success. I give Vic a lot of credit for that defensive turnaround last year. In fact, give him most of the credit. Now, the players obviously have to get the job done, but I think Vic Fangio did an unbelievable job of setting that defense up for success.
You know, I thought somebody on the defense should have been the MVP, but that never happens because it's always the quarterback. Not taking away anything
It's always the
from.
quarterback. Oh, Howard, you know that?
I know, but you know, without that defense to kind of keep them in the game until the Eagles got it going a little bit offensively, that
Yeah.
defense was just unbelievable. It was the players, and it was it was Vic Fangio clearly. All right, so now I want to get to the quarterback, and it's such a hot point. It's just so people early in Jalen Hurts' career, he was different than he is right now as a player, not as a person. I mean, and I think he's more personable around people now than he was at first too, and maybe that was part of the issue. But the difference between Jalen Hurts when you first saw him with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts now.
Yeah, quite honestly, I see very little difference, and I've been around him, you know, from a football perspective at practice or around the NovaCare Center, functions or dinners, you know, from the Maxwell Football Club where he's being honored as a Player of the Year. I've been with his family, and quite I'm how he handles himself as he did in his rookie year and as he handled himself after a Super Bowl win. I think he's always been steady. It's to me one of the keystones of what he's about. He's a very steady guy. There aren't highs, there aren't lows in his game. There aren't highs, there aren't lows in his personality. And from a work ethic, and I'll relate a little story that goes back a few years ago during the COVID year. And you know, Marty Morningwig was, you know, during the COVID was a quarterback coach. Mm-hmm. And Marty and I go way back. We're dear friends. I spoke to Marty an awful lot, still do. And he'd been with a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of great quarterbacks out in San Francisco and in Detroit when he was a head coach there. But he's been around great quarterbacks. He said, no one that I've ever been around, unsolicited to me, he said, works harder than Jalen Hurts. He said, I can't get him out of the film room now. I covered the NFL for 20 years, the ESPN, Monday Night Football, all those things. Mm-hmm. And everybody will say, oh, I'm the first one in, I'm the last on. That's bullshit. There are a lot of quarterbacks that show up 5 minutes before the meeting and then they leave 10 minutes after the practice. So guys like to tell you how hard they work. When Marty Morning, a guy as a head I've ever been around, I got to kick him out of the film room at night to go back home. In the morning, he's waiting for me to open the door. That told me a lot about Jalen Hurts' desire. It's what you do when people aren't watching. That's the stuff that's important. That's what Jalen Hurts did, I think, that propelled him to the top, you know, as a Super Bowl quarterback right now, Super Bowl MVP. His ability to put the time in when people aren't watching.
Okay, but the difference is, and I don't. You know, this is not a criticism, it's reality. He didn't process as well and go through the progressions as well for a time there, and he got better at it. Agree or disagree? And that by that changing, it made him a better quarterback.
It's still not his strength. It's still he's not a 1, 2, 3, 4 repetitive type reader. That's why I think with Jalen Hurts, it's so important that he has a system in place where it's basically an either or read, either throw it here or throw it there. Now he'll read the blitz. I thought this year he made his growth in at the line of scrimmage, getting out of bad plays into good plays. And don't necessarily have to change every play, but sometimes you're going to get caught with the bad plays. A great job with that. I thought he handled a blitz. I just don't think at this point in his career I'm ever going to see him as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ball out of his hands. I think with Jalen Hurts, you got to design plays so it's 1, 2, and he'll get the ball out of his hands on time with accuracy. That's when the offense is at its best.
All right, so now I'm going to give people a reason to hate the Cowboys even more. And Emmett Smith's not a bad guy, but what an asinine what an asinine statement. I want you to listen, and I want you to comment on it, and then I will comment on it. Emmett Smith was on a radio station in Dallas, and he's whining about the Eagles.
See, championship game since when you were playing.
I'm sick of it, and I'm sick of it for two reasons. One, we have allowed others to come and nitpick at the star and make fun of the star. And that's what happens when you give other people or other organizations. Now all of a sudden, the last 20 years, they win 2 Super Bowls. They think they're the best thing on the doggone planet.
Yeah.
And everywhere I go Birds. I'm sick of hearing go Birds. I'm always asking, where you going? You still got a long way to go to catch up. So, but that part bugs me. It bugs me because in my heart, I truly believe our organization should be contending for an NFC championship and even a Super Bowl at least once or twice every decade. Because every team recycles every decade.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so for us not to be there over the last 30 years.
Well, all right. So here's the, that means.
Now, wait, first of all, Howard, I can't comment on that 'cause I didn't hear it. I don't know why.
Okay. All right. So what
I
he
wasn't
said.
connected for some. You heard it.
He's tired of people saying go Birds. I'll just read you some of it. I'm sick of it. We have allowed others to nitpick at the star and make fun of the star. Now, all of a sudden, over the last 20 years, the Eagles win 2 Super Bowls and they think they're the best thing on the planet. And everywhere I go, I hear go Birds. I'm sick of hearing go Birds. And he says, where are they going? The Cowboys haven't been in the Super Bowl for 30 years. 30 years. That's one thing. Without Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer just was using Jimmy Johnson's players. It's a poorly run organization. I don't think they've won a playoff game for 10 years, for at least 10 years. What the hell is he talking about? I mean, why are you whining? That organization sucks.
Well, I'm glad you told me that, Howard, because I do get a chance to play golf with Emmett every now and then. So next time he's on a tee, I will say, "Go Birds, Emmett!" I'll get him early. But hey, and I'll ask him if he can spell the word dynasty, Dynasty. Go Birds Dynasty. That'll get him really riled up at the first tee.
I mean, it's just the Cowboys. They always find a way to not win. I mean, and Jerry Jones is a nice man. But the way he runs that organization, he makes bad decisions. He's going to said he's not going to make decisions anymore after the next year. That's too bad for Eagles fans because he bleeps it up so poorly. But Emmett, come on, man, stop! It's just stop whining and complaining.
Let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
You know what? I and Roger Staubach's a wonderful guy. I saw him at one. I forget which Super Bowl. Well, it was after the Eagles won their Super Bowl in 17, the 18 in the 17 season. Okay,
yeah, 18
so
season.
I was fortunate enough, and I love the Eagles for allowing me to get a Super Bowl ring. And I can't say enough about Jeffrey Lurie, and just he's a really, really good guy, and he respects the people.
First class man.
Really does. So anyway, I'm there, and Roger's on with a Dallas station, and I know the guys from the station, and I say hello to Roger, and we started talking about Nick Foles in the Super Bowl. And then he saw, and I wore the Super Bowl ring there, and he was wearing his from 72, I think it was. He says, man, that Super Bowl ring is twice the size of mine. I said, the difference is you played in the game. But, it's just, but that's how long you have to go way back. Those days are over for the Cowboys. It's done. Stop with the star already. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about the star. They suck. Let's just break it down to its simplest form. The Dallas Cowboys suck.
The biggest contender for the Birds right now, like Emmett may have heard that, the Birds will be the Commanders. The Cowboys are still down the bottom of the heap with New York.
Yeah, and it's just it's too bad that the owner's the owner. And I'm going to tell you, after you go off, I'm going to talk about all the nonsense and bullshit that was at that news conference, the end of the season news conference, the lies, and it's so pathetic.
But Howard, I'll take this off the field for a second. The one thing you got to say about Jerry Jones, he's turned 32 multi-millionaires into 32 billionaires, multi-billionaires. So he knew the business of football, and that's where he gets the Hall of Fame mention from me.
Well, he does. He does
Yeah,
do that. He's just, but Jimmy
he
Johnson.
he did that.
Jimmy Johnson was the reason. Jimmy Johnson was the reason they won those Super Bowls. Jimmy, and obviously I knew him. I knew him from his.
Oh, I know you were the you guy. We heard it from you.
Well,
The
whatever.
you and you,
Forget
the
about
you,
that.
the you this, the
But,
you that, you
but
this.
I
Goodbye,
watched.
Howard. Goodbye.
I watched him, but I watched him on the sidelines. He didn't. I mean, he let the other coaches, and a lot of coaches do that now. In Philadelphia, they complain. Well, Nick Sirianni's not calling plays, so who cares? But he designated things. But when you had to make a big decision, he was there. And I remember seeing some recruits at the University of Miami and linebackers, and they're like 210 or 215, and guys that are small. And I said to one of the coaches, I said, "Aren't these guys too small?" And Jimmy knew it back then, and that's what he did with the Cowboys. It's about speed, and speed is really important. I mean, you need obviously the physical presence and the weight,
Yeah.
but he was about speed, and he brought speed into the game with the defensive line and the linebackers before anybody else. So people can say what they want about Jimmy Johnson, but he is a great coach, and he's the reason. Forget about Jerry Jones and all that. He's the reason that.
You get fired up talking about the Cowboys, don't you?
Yeah. Well, whatever. It's just, people, one time, and here's, my issue that people never forget anything when they don't want to forget something. It's like I was a Cowboys fan when Rich Kotite was the coach of the Eagles because he was so bad. I had to pick somebody, right? And Jimmy Johnson was the coach. So I became a Cowboy fan. And one time at halftime, I'm kicking field goals. It's some ridiculous contest. So I wore a Cowboys jacket out. That was the end. And a Cowboys hat. People buried me. I'm not, how could you root for?
You deserve it.
How could you root for Rich Kotite?
You got what you deserve out. You got what you deserve for putting a cowboy jacket on. That's exactly what the fans should have done. If I was in the stands, I would have booed you too, Howard. I would have booed you as well.
To get them to boo me because they were going to do it anyway. So this way they had a reason. All right. So I want to talk about. We talk about important things, and football's important to people. The Eagles are important to people, but helping people is important to people. And that's why the Eagles Autism Foundation, which is really it's really, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., just be quiet. Don't talk about autism. Those people need our help, and they need medical people to give our help. But that's just one thing. But you have 8 golf courses, which is, a credit to your business acumen. And I didn't think you were that smart as the Polish rifle. But it's a credit to your business acumen that you have 8 golf courses now. But that's important, and you have really good businesses, and people enjoy playing your courses. But you have a foundation which helps people. Can you explain to people it's the Jaws Youth Playbook Foundation? Is that correct?
That's correct. It started in 1984. It's our family foundation. We've raised over $9 million during that period of time. And our young people are the futures. That's why I call it the Jaws Youth Playbook. We build playgrounds. We give away bikes, nutritious food, pretty much gear anything towards helping kids. I've been blessed by the good Lord to have 3 great kids, 7 great grandsons, and I just felt that kids are the future. And when I'm gone someday, I want the kids out. So my wife, my family, it's something that we've dedicated a large portion of our life to helping others. So Thank you for giving.
And you really have somebody. Your wife does a lot of work with it. I know that. I know Liz does a lot of work. But Trish, who runs, I guess, kind of runs your foundation, does a really good job. She's on top of it, and I give credit for the people that you have helping people as well as you're helping people. All right. So now, one of the things that you do.
Yeah. Hey, Howard, we're having my golf tournament this year is my 41st golf tournament. I've had you name the guys I've had. I've had the who's who of the world, starting from your buddy Charles Barkley to Tom Brady, and our first couple years Johnny Unitas, Brooks Robinson, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, you name the guys I've had at my golf tournament. And it's a testament in a good way to a lot of football players around this league. Everyone, Marino has his tournament. Jim Kelly has his. I go to Buffalo every year for Jim Kelly's tournament. A lot of players give back. And I go to their events, they come to my events. We kind of form this unifying force that we support each other and we help raise money. So it wouldn't happen unless a lot of people really go out of their way, to really support what we're doing. This year, honoring Brandon Graham, who had a phenomenal, Hall of Fame career at the Philadelphia Eagles. Last year, we honored Jason Kelsey at our pairings party. So Susie Colbert 3 years ago. So we recognize, not only players, but those that love the game as well. So, when I reach out to the guys this year, reach out to John Gruden. John's coming back to Philadelphia. So we got John playing some golf on June 5th and 6th at Live Casinos, our casino host and hotel host, and Riverwinds is the golf course. And we'll raise another $300,000-$400,000 at the golf tournament alone.
I've talked to Gruden, and he said I'm going to have him on the show, and because I was there, and I'll bring it up to him. I really like John Gruden. I really do like him, and I thought he was a terrific coach. And I saw a thing he did at Wisconsin. I guess at their spring practice. The way he comes at you, he's so good. But I didn't know he was going to be at the golf tournament. I'm looking forward to seeing him. But I'm going to have him on. But he's just, I was there when Ricky Waters' girlfriend aired him out after a game out at the vet outside the locker room. I happened to just standing there, and I watched Ricky Waters' girlfriend air out John Gruden because Ricky didn't get enough carries, in her opinion. It was beautiful.
I will keep. I'll say the majority, probably all my John Gruden stories to myself on this hour. You can ask at the golf tournament.
Wait a minute, don't you have?
But hey,
wait a minute, don't you have one good one that you could tell about John Gruden? One good one. Well, there's probably a lot of them, but don't you have one?
I was fortunate to do Monday Night Football with him for 3 years, and that John Gruden knows more football than even half the coaches presently coach this league. He's forgotten more than they know. I mean, John was and I think to a certain degree, I don't want to get into the details of why he's not coaching, but with John Gruden not being a coach in the NFL is disservice to the game, because John knows the game, can coach the game, loves the game, has a passion for the game. I wish he were still coaching. But Brett Sheridan, whenever he does TV.
He's really a good guy. All right. One thing I want to mention, you told me before we went on the show, you have one foursome left. Well, after tonight, the fact that I said there's one left, it's June 6th. The party is June 5th. Let's get that foursome taken care of so you're sold out. And you have plenty of time to do it. It's not because of me, but there's one foursome.
Oh, there's time.
And I wanted to mention that. One other question I did want to ask you, because I started looking up some games, and then I remembered these games. What was the most? And I know you're probably going to say the Super Bowl, but I don't know, because that was determined early. Your most devastating loss as a player?
Wow. Obviously the Super Bowl, that because that one still resonates. That never goes away, to lose that game. And we kind of felt we were the better team. We should have won. We didn't play our best, but even after that game, we felt we were a good young team. We were going to get back and eventually win it. It goes to show you how difficult it is not only to get there but to win it. So it never happened again. We never got back. Although we had a run of 4 years from 78 to 82. We had the best record in the NFL. We never won a Super Bowl. So that one really, that loss really hurt. But if I think of another loss that still resonates with me, it was a Monday night game against Miami Dolphins. We lost late in the game on a field goal by the Dolphins on Monday Night Football. That one, was down in the Orange Bowl. You like to win against a Don Shula team, and for some reason that game kind of hung with me for a long time. Against a Shula team, you got to have your A game. If you don't have your A game, you lose.
Okay, so I'm thinking about a game in 1978. And you're up 13-0. I think it was a playoff game.
It was the Atlanta Falcons down in Atlanta. That's right. And
Mike Michelle. What the hell happened?
He was our punter. Our kicker got hurt, and we had to attempt a field goal to try to win the game, and he shanked it.
That was brutal. Not only were you up 13-0, it was 30, and then the dynamics of that. And again, I think that was a playoff game, right? Was that a playoff game?
It was a playoff game. after an 18-year drought in Philadelphia, that was 1978. The Eagles hadn't been to the playoffs since 1960. When Norm Van Brock led them to the championship in 1960. So, we hadn't been in the playoffs in a long, long time. We finally got to the playoffs, and we lost in a miserable way down in Atlanta. But
Unbelievable.
kind of a springboard, get a little better, get a little better. It was always under Vermeil. You just got to get better, and that's what we did. We finally 3 years later we made it to the Super Bowl.
It's something happened when we're doing the show. Happened today, and I think this guy's a jerk. The quarterback for Tennessee didn't go to practice.
I agree. I agree with you. By the way, I know the story.
And then he just signed with UCLA. So obviously, it's a joke. I mean, it's just
college football is out of control. College basketball is out of control. It's professional sports right now, and I don't. Hey, great for the guys to make money. You're going to have 4 great teams in the NCAA basketball tournament. You're going to have 4 great teams in college football. It's just the way it's going to be.
It's the ones
the money's going to buy players.
It's the ones that pay the most money.
Sucks.
I mean, I was talking to, I guess it was Phil Martelli. Yeah, Phil Martelli. I says, I don't even care about the NCAA tournament anymore because there's no Cinderellas that are going to win. Villanovas are out. Back in the day when Jim Valvano won with North Carolina, they're done. They're done. It's over. Yeah. It's a joke.
What's Villanova going to do? Villanova's a powerhouse, has been a powerhouse in college basketball for a long time. Where are they going to find the sponsors of these guys or whatever they want to call them? Where are they going to find the money to pay these guys to come to Villanova? You got to be a great coach and you got to get lucky with talent.
I know it's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah. I just wanted to bring up when I saw that guy sign with UCLA. So obviously somebody out there paid him money. I hope he fails just because of that. But hey, Ron, I thank you so much. I could see you sooner, but definitely we'll see you at the pairings party on June 5th at Live Hotel. And then I will see you at the golf tournament. I'll be out there bright and early. I'm out there for the first.
Are you still playing those? Are you still playing those forward tees, or you get to be a man yet?
I'm allowed. I'm allowed to play the forward tees. You know what? First of all,
we got to get Charles Barkley out because I only have fun when we play with Charles because Charles just rips your ass really big. That's why I enjoy playing with Charles.
Oh yeah, when we played with him at one time. I didn't tell
Liberty Hill.
It was just Lenny Dykstra and Charles and Rick Tockett. That was with me with the foursome. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then Charles, one time I was with him, I got him a new set of clubs from a company. I knew the people at the company. And he put the ball in the water on the 12th hole at Commonwealth. And the clubs went in the water. I saved the woods. And then they had divers there to go get them after that. But we'll all get together. That was fun when we played together with
summer will be good again, my friend. Thank you.
All right.
Always a pleasure,
thank
Howard.
you. It's my pleasure. Thanks very much. Ron Jaworski. And he's a he's a player that stayed in the community. And I'm happy. I think we're all happy that he did. All right. I do want to talk about the Sixers. I'm telling you, that postseason news conference was the biggest farce. It was an absolute farce. All right. A farce. And I'm going to get to that. But I want to talk before we get to that. I want to talk about our wonderful, wonderful partners, and they are our sponsors. Piazza Property Pros. Now, I'm telling you, I know when we're speaking right now, when we're doing this show, I know it's a little chilly, and people are like, wait till it gets warm. And I call them because I want to put in a pool, or I want to renovate my pool. Don't wait, because everybody's doing this. Everybody's going to do the same thing. And these people are really good. They're experts. New in-ground pool, renovation, Piazza Property Pros. They got you covered. 25 years of experience. That's really important. And they specialize in turning a reality into a vision. And they use their own people. That's really important. Top-notch craftsmanship, unmatched customer service, and they have their own people. They don't sub it out to other people. They do it themselves. You can trust Piazza Property Pros, and they will deliver exceptional results and within your budget. They'll work with you. Here's a number, 610-566-2608, 610-566-2608, or on the internet, piazzaoutdoor.com. Hey, listen, Piazza Property Pros will get it done. Make your backyard the oasis you've always wanted. And you want a new automobile, and people are worried about tariffs. I get it. Audi of Westchester, I talked to them today. No tariffs. Not yet, and hopefully that changes. But whatever, no tariffs, and they got some really good things going on with a state-of-the-art facility. Audi Westchester's goal is to make buying or leasing a new Audi as simple as possible. Pressure-free, really friendly people. I've been out there quite a few times. Since Audi of Westchester is part of the Mainline Automotive Group, they have the largest selection of new and pre-owned Audi vehicles in the tri-state area. Right now, like I said, no tariffs off the EQ5, the hybrid, $5,000 off. Off the A5, $3,000 off. You got to check it all out. Stop by Audi of Westchester, 1421 Wilmington Pike, or visit AudiWestchester.com. That's AudiWestchester.com. And we're tired. We all are of paying a lot of money for cable. Well, you have a chance to save hundreds of dollars. Cut the cord with Jason. Incredible service. What's good about that service, and he'll save you money, come out to your house, cut your cable off, set you up with wireless, expensive internet service, with less expensive, I should say, internet service, and he can take care of it. And a lot of people have taken him up on this. Streaming services include local and national channels. You'll be able to see all the Philly Pro games. You have a second home, you'll be able to hook that up. It's all in the same bill. And the good thing is, with this streaming service, if your TV is capable of it, and the newer TVs are, you can watch 4 different things on your TV at one time, which a lot of people want to do when there's multiple games, especially on a Sunday afternoon. Save money. For more information, and you're just going to save yourself a lot of money, call Jason today, 215-801-5858, 215-801-5858. All right. Now I want to talk about the Sixers. It's just that postseason news conference. I mean, the players were fine. I understand the players. I understand it. But Daryl Morey, anybody that's happy about him coming back, Nick Nurse, I'm kind of lukewarm on. I'm not sure yet about Nick Nurse. I don't know that he's a good coach, but I don't know that he's a bad coach. Whatever. And, they don't have players, and they obviously tried to tank, and it was pathetic to run a G League team out there. They ran a G League team out there for people paying prices that are a joke. They're trying to get season ticket holders. They're begging them to renew their tickets. And I tell you, I know one salesperson told one of the customers, when Joel Embiid, when they, determined that he can't play the rest of his career, the insurance covers it and it comes off the cap. Let me break the news to all of you. It may come off the cap, but they still have to pay Joel Embiid $62.5 million a year. $62.5 million a year they have to pay him. So if they get a player for $35 or $40 million, you think they're going to want to put $100 million into one position? Not a chance with Josh Harris. Not a chance. All he cares about is his football team. The basketball team, just keep it moving. Oh, they're not going to raise prices for 2 years. Yeah, but they're not going to lower prices either. They ought to give people a rebate. There should be a class action suit. But let me get to what Daryl Morey, who, by the way, when he said this season that they were a championship caliber team, they went 4-24 with their championship caliber team. And I don't want to hear about injuries, that some of the guys probably could have played. I don't want to hear about injuries. Every team has injuries. But listen to this. Listen to the question. It's about signing Joel Embiid before the season when he should have waited. He's a con man. He's a fraud. Daryl Morey is clueless when it comes to, he uses AI. He admitted it's the fact that he uses AI to scout college players is one thing. The fact that he admitted it publicly is another thing. What an asinine, stupid statement. But I want you to listen to this comment from the post-game news conference earlier this week.
The second question is, you guys gave him the extension last year, and he was coming off of an injury season. Was there any thought to wait until this summer to pay him, or do you feel like you guys might have pulled the trigger a little bit too quick?
Well, I think with that, Paul, we thought was a very good fit. Obviously, we brought him here. He's only here because of he wants to play with the organization, but very specifically with Joel Embiid. And I think for us, that was the best plan, to put the best team together, and that's a group decision. When you make those decisions, long way of saying, when you have Paul signed long term, it's important for your MVP level player to also be signed long term.
let me address. Okay, I don't even know where to start. You're signing Paul George to a 4-year contract because he wants to play with Joel Embiid, and you wanted to make sure that he knew Joel Embiid was going to be here. Let me just break the news to Daryl Morey. Nobody was giving Paul George more than 2 years. And that was the Clippers, because he was with that team. Nobody was giving him more than 2 years. Daryl Morey gave him 4 years at $55.5 million a year. All right, let me break this down for you too. Before we even get into Joel Embiid, who MVP caliber player. Not anymore. He's always hurt, but I'll get into that. This is just so, it pisses me off so much. It's such a joke. It's unfair. Sixers used to be fun to watch. Now it's garbage. And a guy that's running things is a complete idiot when it comes to basketball. Smart guy, because he's conned the owner into about $15 million a year. All right. Paul George. He signs Paul George to 4 years. Let me break down Paul George's playing of games. The year before he came to the Sixers, that year he played 74 games because he was playing for a contract. 5 of 6 years, and that year's mixed in between. 5 of 6 years, Paul George averaged 46 games a year. Never got into the 60s. It was 41, 56, 31, 54, and 48. And you're signing this guy to a 4-year contract? Are you that stupid? I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm pissed, as you can tell. All right. 46, started 4 years old. You give him 4 years, and he doesn't even play 60 games a year. It's a joke. I knew he wasn't going to play 60 games a year this year. I mean, it's a joke. All right. It's a joke. Let me just make that clear. All right, now let's get into, and this is the con job, trying to get season ticket holders to renew their season tickets. Let's hear another comment from Daryl Morey during that.
Paul and Joel also will be back 100%. I think Joel of the three has is going to attack this offseason, this rehab. Dr. Glashow, who did the surgery, is very optimistic about his prognosis. We love that, after a lot of work, working with, over 10 doctors, 6 in person who examined him, and a long process to get to the right answer. We feel great that Dr. Glashow is the right answer, and that the surgery went so well. And we like that Dr. Glashow is going to do a lot of the early rehab with Joel in person. And he has a great track record with a lot of great players in this league to have them come back strong. So
I thought Nick Nurse was going to fall asleep watching him sit next to Daryl Morey. All right, let me just address right out of the chute what he said at the beginning. He says, I believe that Paul George and Joel Embiid will come back 100% or close to 100%. When has Joel Embiid ever, EVER, for people that need to spell that out? It's only 4 letters, so I think everybody can handle it. When has he ever been 100%? He's not that player anymore. And let me just break down his games played. He's averaged in the last 9 seasons. Remember, he's over 30 years old too. And you sign him to a contract, you're stuck with him. And he's not big. I had information that they had a program for him the beginning of last season, and Joel Embiid wasn't excited about it, so he didn't want to do it. So I don't know that he's going to go full steam ahead. 100%. Joel Embiid has averaged 50 games a year. There's an 82 game season. That doesn't even include playoffs if they get to them. 50 games a year over the last 9 seasons. But if you take his first 2 years when they drafted him, he didn't play 2 years, his first 2 years with the Sixers, played no 0 games. If you put those games, and his career is technically an 11-year career, not a 9-year career, you put those 2 seasons in, he's averaged 41 games a year. And you're going to try to tell fans and try to tell them that you're going to be a championship caliber club. No chance. The Sixers, by the way, just to break it down for everybody, are 3 to 4 years away from being 3 to 4 years away from being 3 to 4 years away from being 3 to 4 years away. That's who the Sixers are. This is a complete farce. I just, when people and the Sixers didn't give me a credential to come to that news conference, because I wouldn't, after I heard him say some of these things, I would have challenged some of it. Wait a minute, 100%. When has he ever been 100%? MVP caliber. He's no longer an MVP caliber player. He might have a game here and there where he gets 40 points. That's great. But it's over a period of a season. I'm telling you, I can't take it. Here's who I feel for. Sixers fans, I really feel for you. I feel for you because some of you people, and I know they really want to be fans, they really want to believe, are going to be conned into believing that these guys are going to be okay to start the season. You're going to be conned into believing that. You're going to be conned into trying to believe, and anybody with half a brain knows that it's BS. Conned on a podcast, you can say bullshit. Conned into believing that this team has a chance because they want you to renew your season tickets. But they're not going to raise prices for 2 years. But you think they had a little reduction? The tickets are already overpriced. You think there's a little reduction in those prices? I'm all worked up. I'm all worked up. I can't take it. I can't take it. Well, you decide you want to renew your second season tickets. Go ahead. And then you're going to get what is really there sitting in front of you. The thing about Joel Embiid, obviously a very talented player when he's healthy. He won his MVP, so he got that. In his mind, he won his championship by winning the gold. Didn't play with his home country of France because he knew he had a better chance of winning the gold. And he really didn't listen to the coach out there. I've said this before. I would have traded Joel Embiid a few years ago, and people gave me a lot of crap because he's not a winner. He doesn't listen to the coach all the time. He doesn't play for his teammates. He plays for himself. And he doesn't play hard all the time. And sometimes he can't because he's not in shape. So whatever. And why did they wait till the end of the season to have surgery? Why did you do it before to make sure he had enough time in the off season? All right. I can't take it anymore. All right. I've had enough. But I haven't had enough. But I appreciate everybody out there that watches the Howard Eskin show. And it's available. And I urge you, because you will be alerted when I'm doing a show live, if you subscribe to YouTube. Now, I'm on all the social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're on Spotify and Apple. We're on Amazon Music. We're on all of them. So you can listen to them everywhere, because it's unfortunate. And radio was really important to me and my career, but radio it's in trouble because people don't listen to radio that much anymore. They listen to podcasts, whether it's mine or somebody else's. And that's why I think our advertisers and our sponsors get results, because people listen. And I really appreciate, and I'm really close to adding one more sponsor, and I think that may be it. I appreciate Cut the Cord with Jason. I appreciate Audi of Westchester, and I appreciate Piazza Property Pros. Those people are a part of the fiber of this podcast, this show, and their messages will be up there forever when you go back and listen to the show. But I urge you to subscribe to YouTube, and it's not hard to do. You just click on, no cost, no nothing, and you'll be notified when the show comes up. Our next show is Saturday morning and at 8:00. And I do that for people when I was on the radio at 8, they wanted to listen to me at 8. And we're going to have a draft expert talking about the draft, which will be less than 1 week away. And that will be Saturday morning. Everybody have a great day. I really appreciate you being a part of it. I really appreciate coming on, and we'll have more great guests throughout the year and in the future. And thank you very much. Have a good night, a good day, and a better tomorrow. And I thank you. Good night.